Hello guys, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is that we end up doing this. As usual, I hope you're keeping fine. I hope you had an enjoyable holiday, that you did something productive apart from the work that I said to you that most of you haven't sent me back. So, in your conscience may weigh and keep you awake at night. I hope you've been reading, learning some new skills, being nice to your parents, I don't know, something. Anyway, so we're going to finish this chapter. The last thing I'm hoping it's going to be easier than histograms, but I'm not sure actually, because in the past this has never worked that well. It's a little bit tricky, and it's all to do problems with the mean. So you're using the idea of the mean to solve word problems, okay? So you just need to be able to know, in theory, all you need to be able to do is how to calculate the mean. Problem is, we're going to do it backwards, we're going to change directions, we're going to shift things around. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go through 4 examples now and maybe a couple more later. Suggestion, write them down, copy them, do them as I go along. Have them as reference, because basically every problem that you're going to find is going to be a variation of one of these, so you'll be fine. So very basically, let's start with, I've got 11 players in a football team. They scored 52 goals each. Was the mean number of goals scored per player? As you know, even my 4-year-old boy could do this. So the mean is going to be the total number of goals, 52, divided by the 11 players that I've got. So you get your calculator out and you do 52 divided by 11, 4.73 if I round to 2 decimal places. So every player scores about almost 5 goals, 4.73. Done, easy, sorted. All right, let's move along. The next question, similar. I've got another team, football team, handball team, I don't know. 14 players. I don't know how many goals they've scored, but I know that the mean number of goals scored is 4.86. How many goals did they score in total? Now remember, the mean is the total divided by how many people we had. This is not very scientific, but you understand this. So I'm just going to substitute the information that I've got. The mean, 4.86, must be the total number of goals, which is what I'm trying to find here, divided by how many players I've got. Well, now that looks quite easy then. The total is going to be 4.86 multiplied by 14. So you get your calculator again, 4.86 multiplied by 14. You get 68.04. This is because I rounded the numbers. Obviously, we cannot score 68.04 goals, it's just 68. It's because I had to give you this rounded number. If I had given you the exact number, it would have come out 68. But anyway, that's it, sorted, easy. Next problem. So now they're asking me to find the number of players. I don't know how many players there were in the team, but I know that they scored 84 goals between all of them, and that the mean was 5.6. So substitute what I know again in that tiny equation of the mean. The mean, 5.6, is going to equal the total number of goals scored, which was 84, divided by the number of people. So I just need to rearrange that equation a little bit, but I believe you can do that. So the number of people is going to be 84 divided by 5.6. So you whack out your calculator and you do again 84 divided by 5.6, and I get exactly 15. So there were 15 people in the team. Nice, easy, sorted, okay? So those are very basic. These are the most basic questions you could come up in terms of problems with the mean. Fantastic. Slightly trickier problem here, dealing with frequency tables. I really need you to pay attention to this one now, because this can get a little bit confusing. So I'm going to go through it, and then I'll probably pause, I don't know, re-record a few more, and then we'll continue from there. So here's the situation, okay? As I said, this one is a little bit trickier. So this is the information they give me. I've got 20 students in a class. The mean number of debits that they got between all 20 of them is 3.2. They tell me that 3 students got 0 debits, 4 students got 2 debits, 2 students got 1 debit, etc., etc. How many debits did the last 3 students get? Because if you count here, 8, 10, 4, that's only 17 students. So the 3 students that are not in the list, how many debits did they get between all 3 of them? So that's the question. Okay, so you need to break this down. First of all, I know that the mean number of debits is 3.2. They tell me that. And they tell me that I've got 20 students in the class. So I can find the total number of debits that they got between all 20 of them. So, total number of debits. How can I write here? Let me move this a little bit. It's getting a little bit uncomfortable, but that should be a little bit better. Okay, so the total number of debits is going to be the number of students times the mean, which is 3.2. This is exactly like one of the problems we did earlier, I believe. Is it? Is it not? Well, there you go. The total number of debits is the mean times the number of people. So if I do 20 times 3.2, I get that they had 64 debits between all of them. So all of them, 64 debits. If you can hear, that's my little one having a breakdown for some reason. I don't know. He could have been skinned alive right now, but I'm not going to stop the explanation. I'm going to continue. Right. So we said between all of them, they have 64 debits. Now, these 3 students have no debits each, so that's 0 debits in total. I have 4 students with 2 debits each, that's 8. 2 students with 1 debit each, that's 2. 3 students with 5 debits each, that's 15. 5 students with 6 debits each, that's 30 debits between all of them. Add all those together, 10, 40, so that's 55. So these 17 students had 55 debits between all of them. I know the total was 64, so the last 3 students must have 9 debits between the 3 of them, isn't it? Because 64 take away 55 is 9. So the last 3 students had 9 debits between the 3 of them, so that means they have 3 debits each. Alright, so hello again. Here I am with the last couple of model problems that you need to be familiar with, that you need to be able to answer, solve when it comes to dealing with the mean. So, again, copy the information out, lay out the question in your exercise books and do it as I go along, okay? Again, we're just using the definition of the mean and manipulating that little formula. It's not very complicated if you have clear in your head what you're doing, as usual. So, situation number 1, problem number 1. I have 12 players in a football team. I don't know where I'm going with this football thing, but just go along with me. I have 12 players in a football team, and they have scored 5.17 goals on average, each. A new player joins the team, and the mean now is 5 goals. So the question is, how many goals did that new player score? So the first thing you need to notice is that the mean has gone down. This new player, as I've added him to the team, the mean number of goals has gone down. So automatically you need to think that that player must have scored less than 5.17 goals because he has brought the average down. So that's one thing to think about, bear in mind. Anyway, so let's start with the before the new player arrived. Okay, so we had 12 players for a mean of 5.17. So remember, the mean is the total number of goals divided by how many. So if I rearrange that, how many goals did the team score before the new player arrived? Well, it'll be 5.17 would have been T for the total divided by 12, so the total would have been 5.17 times 12. You get your calculator, 5.17 times 12. I get 62. I get 62.04, but again, because that mean was rounded, it would have given me the exact answer, but it's 62. So before the new player arrived, 62 goals. Now I've got a new player, I've got a new mean. I'm going to do the same thing with the new numbers that I've got. The new total, let's call it T2 for the new total, is going to be the new mean, which is 5, times how many players? But the number of players is not 12 now, it's 13 because I have a new player. So 5 times 13 is actually 65. So before he arrived, we had to score 62 goals. Now that he's there, we've got 65 goals. The difference between the two must be the number of goals that new player scored, which is 3. So the new player scored 3 goals. And that ties up with my prediction at the beginning that he should have scored a lower number of goals than the mean because he brought the average down. So he only scored 3 goals. That 3 comes from doing 65, take away 62. Okay, good, brilliant stuff. Now, similar problem, similar idea. I've got 15 players in a team, the mean is 6.2. I have a new player, but he scores 8 goals. What's the new mean? So, slightly different problem, but we're going to do the same thing. Before the new player arrived, the total number of goals would have been the number of players multiplied by the mean. So before the new player arrived, 15 multiplied by 6.2 is 93 goals. But I've got a new player that has scored 8 goals. So the new total, let's call it T2, is going to be 93 plus 8. I've got 8 new goals, 93 plus 8, I make that 101. And then the new mean, so let's call it mean 2, is going to be the total number of goals divided by how many players we've got in the team. But we haven't got 15 players anymore in the team, we've got a new one. So we've got 16 players. So the new mean, 101 divided by 16, is 6.3125. You do not round that number, you leave it with all the decimals. And that makes sense, because the new player scored a higher number of goals than the average, so he should pull the average up, which he did. The new average is higher than the previous average. So, I've given you, I think it was 5 or 6 model problems on working out or solving water problems with the mean. I know it can be a little bit confusing, so like I said, copy each one down nice and neat in your book, go through them, understand what I'm doing with the mean. It's all about finding the total and then recalculating the mean. Typically that's all we're doing. Instead of having an extra player, you may have a player less, but the idea is exactly the same. I hope you find it helpful. I hope that was understandable. I'm always here for help. Let me know if you need anything. Please work